Okay, welcome to another episode of Dragon's Den Gaming Group's YouTube Battle Reports. This is the rematch of Orcs and Goblins versus Wood Elves. The first game we had, Orcs invaded Athel Lorne, where I got my ass kicked. So, hopefully this time around I'll have a better showing and maybe show some Orc pride here. For this game I busted out Grom the Paunch to defend the Badlands. And my opponent, he took a Highborn on a Dragon, which is going to be interesting. We both have generals on their own, so that should prove to be an interesting matchup. The terrain's pretty simple because we are on the Badlands. My opponent does get his free forest, however, and that's the big trees right in the middle he placed down there. But other than that, everything's pretty much straightforward. And, well, hopefully this time I do the ass kicking. Anyways, on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 1. Alright, Orcs and Goblins, turn number 1. And you can see from this shot here, I basically got a little hamburger hill thing happening with all my artillery on the hill with the spear chalker there and the 2 stone throwers. And then that battle line just carries on down the field there. And at the very back of the picture there, you'll probably see my snotling pump wagon by that large rock. Moving on to the movement phase, everything kind of just moves up. I'm trying to keep my battle line somewhat centered around Grom, as he has a battle standard bear attached to him as well. So I want to keep his rerolls near the army, and I think I'm going to need it with leadership of 8. In the magic phase, I generated 6 power dice to their 4. I attempted a Foot of Gork onto the Glade Guard. I want to try and soften these guys up because I know they hurt and they have a good range. I just failed the attempt. With remaining power dice, I tried a Ruby Ring, but it was easily dispelled. In the shooting phase, I attempted to unload basically everything on Hamburger Hill there onto the Glade Guard, and the first rock lobber misfires, and I can't fire this turn. The other rock lobber scattered 8 inches away from the unit, so I hit nothing there. And then the spear chalker just missed because they have a bliss skill of 3, which is just crappy. So anyways, that was my first turn, and moving on to the Wood Elves, turn number 1. Wood Elves, turn number 1, and you can see from their battle line they can support each other rather quickly because of the high movement of the Wood Elves. So I don't know what he's got planned, but whatever he can do it quickly. So we'll just wait and see what happens here. And in the movement phase, he supports both treemen by putting them both into the forest there. And the dragon flies over to support the treekin. In the magic phase, they generated 6 power dice to my 4 dispel dice. I let 2 tree singing spells go through, and it moves the force total of 5 inches, so I'm not really concerned about that. I wanted to stop the hidden path spell from going through, but he failed to cast it, so I have all these dispel dice just sitting there doing nothing now. In the shooting phase, the Glade Guard in the left hand corner of the screen there, they wheeled around so they could see my Mangler Squid, who's just in front of the dragon there. They shot the hell out of him. He died, and it caused all kinds of panic there on the right side of the screen. So my Spider Riders, they panicked and fled. My Orc Chariot, it panicked and fled. And the one Goblin Chariot there actually held. So my left flank's a little bit beat up already. And I'll have to get some support over there on the next phase. Alright, on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 2. Orcs and Goblins, turn number 2. This is an overview shot just so you guys can get a kind of a feel for how the battlefield is starting to unfold. The treemen are right there on my doorstep in front of my Orcs. My one snotling pump wagon is trying to make its way around that rock there. You never know with those stupid things how far they're going to go, so you know, they're not very dependable. Just another shot here of, you know, another angle of the battlefield, just so you can see those Glade Guard, how they wheeled around over there, eh? So they can pretty much shoot whatever they want in the Wood Elves' turn. In the charges, I charged the Orcs into the double treeman in the forest. There's another guy there, you just can't quite see him, eh? And in the remaining moves, I tried to put the Snotling pump wagon into the treekin, but I actually failed. It comes up just an inch short, so that kind of sucks. That pump wagon's dead. In the magic phase, I generate 11 power dice to his 6 dispel. I attempted a sneaky stabbing, which was dispelled. I attempted a hand of Gork on the spider, which he let go. And that's why you'll see my spider is up on the Idol of Gork now. So I was able to get that spell off, so he's into a better position now. I can actually run up there and maybe kill something, hopefully in the next phase. And I attempted an Here We Go onto the Orc unit, but that was dispelled as well, with a dispel scroll, sorry. In the shooting phase, I attempted to put both rock lobbers onto the dragon. I got 2 direct hits. Now, one of them, the center hole, well actually both center holes were over the dragon obviously, but one hit went onto the rider, and he had the 3+ ward save. So he can keep using this ward save as long as he doesn't fail it. Once he fails it once, it's no good. So he made his first ward save, so that sucked. I didn't do any wounds to the dragon on the strength 3 shot. The second one ended up randomizing onto the dragon, so he takes the friggin' strength 9 wound. And I rolled a wound, and sure as hell, here comes a 1. I don't know how many times that happens to me, like all the time. And the bolt thrower attempted to shoot the glade guard, but missed, as usual. In the close combat between the 2 treemen and the Orcs, I only ended up scoring 1 whole wound on the brown treeman. And they just stomped the living crap out of me with their attacks back and everything. But thanks to Steadfast, I was able to hold. So on to Wood Elves, turn number 2. Wood Elves, turn number 2. We got the Dragon who charges the Night Goblin unit, the War Dancers who charge the Arachnarok, and the Treekin charge the Pump Wagon. In the Magic phase, you're going to see 8 power dice to my 5 dispel dice. And they really only tried 1 spell. It's the only spell they have right now, because he's only got a level 1, the Hidden Path, and I was able to dispel it with my 5 dispel dice. In the shooting phase, the Glade Guard turn and fire at the Rock Lobber, and does no wounds, thanks to the toughness 7 of a Rock Lobber. In the close combat phase, with the Treekin versus the Pump Wagon, the Treekin just annihilate the Pump Wagon. It's gone. It wasn't a hope for that thing to begin with, so I'm not too disappointed there. I would have rather me charge, but no, that's just the way the dice goes sometimes. In the fight between the Dragon versus the Night Goblins, I have 4 heroes in that unit, so I'm just going to keep issuing challenge after challenge after challenge, because eventually he'll have to roll bad, and maybe with my ranks and my standard, I'll win and break him. At least that's my my thinking. Whether or not it pays off, I guess you'll have to find out. In the fight with the Arachnarok and the War Dancers, the Arachnarok actually pulls out the win by 2 and runs the friggin' War Dancers down, so that was just great. I did not expect that at all, especially from my last game where the War Dancers just chewed through my Orc unit. So that was some good payback there. And in the final fight with the Treemen versus the Orcs, the Treemen just, again, they're just pounding on me with those stomp attacks. It seems like he's not doing any wounds with his regular attacks, but his stomps are just nailing me. So I don't know how long I can survive this. I really thought I could win this fight, but apparently not. And on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 3. Orcs and Goblins, turn number 3. This is just another overview shot. You can see my chariots on the left side there are trying to wiggle their way into some sort of charge positions. I'm keeping Grom right in the center of the board there because it's his leadership 8 and his re-rolls, thanks to him being a battle center bearer, is just awesome. Well, it's actually Niblet, sorry, but in the movement phase, I turn and face my Arachnarch towards the Dryads. I'm not quite sure what I want to do just yet, so I'll leave my options open. In the magic phase, I generate 8 power dice against his 5 dispel dice. I got Sneaky Stabbing off, and he let it through. And I put that onto my Orc unit, so now they have armor piercing. I got Hand of Gork onto the Arachnarch, and he let that go through. And I ended up moving my Arachnarch back around the rock again. I changed my mind, and indecisiveness might cost me here, but I wanted to maybe take out those Glade Guard. And I did try an Here We Go onto the Orcs, and it was failed to be dispelled. So now my Orcs there, they have Here We Go, so they can reroll failed to hit, and they have armor piercing. So hopefully that swings the battle in my favor against the Treeman. I don't know, but they need some help anyways. In the shooting phase, I fired pretty much all my artillery against the Glade Guard. The first rock lobber scattered 10 inches, hit nothing. The second rock lobber scattered 6 inches, killed 2 Glade Guard. And the bolt thrower actually ended up hitting this turn. Killed the first guy, went to the second rank, and I rolled one. Whatever. In the battle between the dragon and the night goblins, my little plan almost worked. He killed the night goblin, so his with his dragon, sorry. So his high noble or highborn, sorry, didn't get to attack. So he only generated 2 wounds in the challenge. So I ended up winning combat, but he held. I would have been so happy if he broke and I ran him down, but no. In the battle between the Treeman versus the Orcs, the Treeman just unloaded on me. They killed every last Orc. My big boss Goblin on the gigantic spider died. So the only thing that survived was my great shaman, and he ran, and neither Treeman actually caught him. So I got a lucky break there. So going on to Wood Elves, turn number 3. Wood Elves, turn number 3. The green Treeman charges the flank of the Night Goblin unit. The brown Treeman attempts to charge onto my fleeing shaman. My fleeing shaman just flees again, so he attempts to redirect into the bolt thrower, but rolls snake eyes and fails to charge. The Glade Guard move up away from the Arachnarch, and the Dryads and the Treekin also move up around the rock. In the magic phase, they only have the one spell, Hidden Path, and he gets it off onto the brown Treeman. I just failed to dispel. In the shooting phase, the brown Treeman attempts an uproot onto my bolt thrower on the hill, and he failed the shot. In close combat, the dragon versus the night goblin unit. Yet another hero steps up to challenge. He dies, and the tree man who moved in did a bunch of wounds, but thanks to Steadfast, my unit's holding, and Grom's right there to keep them in check. Moving on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 4. Orcs and Goblins, turn number 4. Basically everything moves up. My shaman actually rallied right on the table edge there, so that was awesome. I had no charges to declare, so moving on to the magic phase, my power dice was 10 against his dispel dice of 6. I attempt a sneaky stabbing, which is let go, and I put that onto my night goblin unit. I attempted a foot of Gork, but that was dispelled. I attempted a hand of Gork on the shaman, and he has more dispel dice left to stop it, so I just kind of moved my shaman further away to get away from the Glade Guard range and maybe an uproot from the Treeman. I attempted an Here We Go onto the Night Goblin unit, and I got it off irresistibly, but my miscast result was an 11, so I lose 1 magic level, and I lost a spell Here We Go, which sucks. In the shooting phase, I attempted to shoot a rock lobber onto the brown Treeman. I got a direct hit, but he saved his ward save. The second rock lobber attempted to shoot the same tree man, but it scatters and flies directly backwards and lands right on top of my bolt thrower, destroying it outright. That was just a nasty shot. I don't know. Sometimes these orcs and goblins, I swear, they're out to get each other. And on to the close combat between the dragon versus the night goblins and the tree man. I attempt to throw the nets, but I entangle myself, so that just makes things even harder. My night goblin war boss issues a challenge, and he steps up and dies. I'm starting to run out of characters here. I ended up losing the combat, but thanks to Grom being there and his leadership 8 with Steadfast, we hold. Alright, moving on to Wood Elves, turn number 4. Wood Elves, turn number 4. The brown tree man attempts to charge onto the rock lobber on the hill, and he just gets unlucky again and rolls snake eyes. So another failed charge there. The tree can charge the wolf chariot, but they have to go through that fanatic there. And the fanatic just unloaded on them. I ended up killing 2 treekin outright, so only 1 treekin managed to get in there against the 1 goblin chariot. And the Glade Guard turned and faced the Ragnarok. I imagine they just want to unload their arrows on him, and I don't expect him to live on this one, but we'll see what happens. In the magic phase, it was pretty uneventful. He attempted a tree sing, and I just let it go. He attempted the hidden path, and I let that one go too. In the shooting phase, yeah, Glade Guard just unloaded on my Ragnarok. He already had 3 wounds on him, and these guys, they just managed to get all the rest of the wounds on him. I mean, I'm so surprised of how deadly Glade Guard are in a big formation like that. It's almost like a giant machine gun just going off on you. Anybody who underestimates these guys will be in for a rude awakening in a tournament someday. In the close combat phase, with the dragon and the tree man against the night goblins, my shaman, who's the last character left, he steps up and issues a challenge against his highborn on the dragon. Obviously my shaman died, and we ended up losing combat, but we held again thanks to Steadfast. I think it was actually not a bad move by issuing challenge after challenge with all the heroes and characters I had in that unit, because it basically stopped the dragon and the highborn from just just putting tons and tons of wounds onto the unit. The unit would have eventually just vanished. I wouldn't have had Steadfast every round and just held that whole block in the center as long as I did. So it's something to think about later on in tournaments if I can manage to pull it off again and in a dire situation. And moving on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 5. Orcs and Goblins, turn number 5. And Grom's seen enough, so he's going to take matters in his own hands, and he decides to charge the tree man in the rear of the night goblin unit there. There's just enough space for him to make it, so it's a legal charge. The goblin chariot actually rallies, so he's going to turn around to face the treekin, who's about to smash into him again. In the magic phase, I attempted a foot of Gork onto the brown tree man. I cast it with irresistible force, but it scattered off just right next to the tree man, so that kind of sucked. And then on my miscast result, I rolled a 3. So that's like one of the worst ones you can get. Luckily, I didn't get sucked into the vortex, and I saved the wound from the template blast with, I think it's strength 10, with my 4+ ward save. So rock on, shaman. In the shooting phase, however, my rock lobber ended up finally killing off the tree man. So some poetic justice on that one. And then my second rock lobber targeted the Glade Guard, and it scattered 10 inches and just missed. So that's the way she goes there. In the big combat now with Grom, who's rushing in to kick some ass, my impact hit sucked. I did 1 impact hit on the tree man, so I didn't do any wounds there. But everything held though, luckily. I still had 1 rank when everything was said and done, so I was steadfast still. So everything holds. And we'll see what happens here in Wood Elves, turn number 5. Alright, Wood Elves turn number 5, and the tree can charge the chariot. The Glade Guard move up. There is no more magic to be done. In the shooting phase, the Glade Guard unload onto the Spider Riders, but they just rolled poorly and only did 1 wound on them. It's too bad they couldn't roll like that against my Ragnarok. In close combat, now I gotta tip my hat off to my opponent here. He's pretty creative of how he ran his close combat phase. So he chose to do the dragon first, right? Because they're technically it's 2 separate combats now. Because the tree man, is not touching any of the night goblins anymore because there were just so many wounds done. So he's only touching Grom. So the dragon destroys the goblins. They run and are ran down. He overruns, and so now he's into a new combat against Grom. Against the tree man, sorry. And so I thought, oh crap, I'm screwed here. Now I got 2 big creatures, one in my flank, one in my front. And then I thought to myself, well, screw it, I might as well challenge. So the Highborn attacks first in the challenge, and he does 3 wounds. And I think the dragon attacked too, from what I remember. Yes, the dragon did attack. I think they only scored 3 wounds altogether. And I saved all 3 with my regen, so I just rolled great there. And then when I attacked back, it was awesome. I remembered that Grom has his special axe, so whenever he's fighting elves, it becomes a killing blow and a 5+. So I ended up doing 3 wounds. I directed all my attacks against the Highborn, and I killed him outright. Bam, dead. So the dragon actually broke and ran away, but I was still locked in combat with the tree man, and he was stubborn and he held. So, damn, I just could not break the tree man, and I would have ran down the dragon, but that was awesome. Grom really pulled through in that phase there. So there's some victory for the Orcs and Goblins in that battle. And moving on to Orcs and Goblins, turn number 6. Okay, Orc and Goblins, turn number 6, and this is the final turn for the Orcs. I don't know if you guys watched my previous game where I didn't even make it to turn number 6, so this is awesome. Rematch is going not too bad here for the Orcs and Goblins. Anyway, so my Orc Chariot charges the lone Treekin. I should probably explain something. The Treekin actually charged in the previous turn at the Goblin Chariot and destroyed it, and then overran. So that left it wide open to a rear charge from my Orc Chariot. The Goblin Chariot rallies on the right hand side there, and my Spider Riders attempt to move away from the Glade Guard, who are, threatening them with all kinds of bow fire. In the magic phase, I attempt a Foot of Gork, but I failed to cast it. In the shooting phase, I try to shoot the dragon, but it scatters 10 inches off the dragon for the first rock lobber. The second rock lobber, I get a direct hit. I wound it. I roll to see how many more wounds I get. 1. Damn, I just keep rolling 1s, man. I can't stop it. So I just do 1 whole wound. I could have killed the damn thing outright. But it's just, bad luck again. In the combat with the Orc Chariot versus the Treekin, I do 2 impact hits, and the Treekin ends up breaking and running away, and I ran him down easily. In the combat with Grom versus the Tree Man, we both exchange wounds, and I win by 1 thanks to my Battle Center Bear, and he holds. And that's moving on to Wood Elves' final turn. Wood Elves, turn number 6. The Glade Guard charges the Rock Lobber. They have no more magic to really bother even doing. Shooting, well, their only shooting unit now is locked up in close combat with the Rock Lobber. So let's go straight to close combat. The Glade Guard destroy the crew, and they'll overrun into the next Rock Lobber. The other close combat phase there with Grom versus the Tree Man. Grom does another 2 wounds. The Tree Man does 1 in return, but the Tree Man holds. That stubborn ability on those treemen is just awesome. So, came close, almost killed him. He only had one wound left, but not to be. Overall, Grom played awesome in this game. He really showed what or I guess a goblin general can do. So that was cool. Killed a highborn, and he really led his army around the battlefield this game. I think when we tallied out the victory points, Saxon 88 here, he beat me 1,611 to my 1,004. So I lost by about 600 victory points. It doesn't really feel like a loss though, because just the way the battle went, and it was kind of back and forth there, and it was a fun game, so I liked it. Did the Orcs intercept the Wood Elves? Absolutely. Did the Wood Elves teach the Orcs a lesson not to step on Athelloran soil? Maybe. We're Orcs. We're pretty dense. Anyways, my next game is going to be with my Demons of Chaos against some Lizardmen, so there might be a 2-part or 3-part series in that one. I just got to do a little bit more painting, and my buddy who plays Lizardmen, another friend of mine, he is about 95% done painting his army, so we're close. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you again.